collaborative, and coordinated autism services under one roof, and now we finally have it. And why do I know this? Because I'm a parent of a young man who has autism, and I have had the unique pleasure of working with parents every day who have been dreaming about a place like this for a long time. And here we are today, amongst this community of service providers, together, ready to give families everything they need. And with that, let me make a few introductions to some of our new staff here at the center. I'd like to point out Renee Zonder, our new part-time director. Where are you, Renee? There she is in the back. And her administrative assistant, Jessica Fernier. Where are you, Jessica? There she is. We're thrilled to have both of them here greeting families as they start to come through our doors. I'd also like to point out Melissa Parrish. Where are you, Melissa? There she is. Melissa's actually the center's very first employee who started as our family navigator over a year ago. Melissa's been working in the city to support families along with the Golisano Center Autism Hotline established last summer. She'll now be here along with a super powerful navigation team, all made up of parents, that's ready to give families the support they need. And with that, it's now my pleasure to introduce to you Tom O'Connor, President of Sigl Community of Agencies, Vice Chair of Golisano Autism Center Board of Directors, and a founding member of the center. Thank you.
Howdy, neighbors. What a fantastic day this is. How thrilling that just 6 months ago, we came together to formally celebrate our groundbreaking, and 168 days later, we're celebrating an unprecedented partnership and wonderful collaboration in a new home that welcomes people of all ages and abilities to learn, grow, and have their needs addressed. The project involved so many puzzle pieces that needed to fit together just right, and an incredible amount of research, planning, and thought went into what you get to see today. This started as a 25,000 square foot concept, which Mary Boatfield had in her head. And then we said, we got to grow this thing. It's going to grow in size and scope because we had more requests and more providers that were identified through a comprehensive approach. The building is now over 33,000 square feet with custom areas for education, therapy, job training, indoor and outdoor recreation areas. You're going to love the trampolines and the ball pit, let me tell you. Sensory rooms, and even a great space to grab a sandwich and just relax a little by the fire. Wait till you see the chairs. Location was critical. How to be accessible to all families, located in the city of Rochester, on a bus line, near expressways, with an array of complementary medical and social services nearby. There's a small army, nonviolent, involved in assembling the unique design features of this building. Multi-purpose space for great flexibility, sensitivity to colors and use of natural light, HVAC that certainly would be energy efficient, but wouldn't disrupt through noises going on and off. LED lighting that's dimmable where needed, and transitional pathways to make navigation easy, all while creating a safe and welcoming environment. The professional design, engineering, and construction teams need a giant thank you. SWBR, Rob Simonetti, Tim Zagarowicz, Kenzie McNamara, Ken Cristiano. Marathon Engineering, Bob Bringley, John Stapleton, Pete Gorman. And Pike Construction, Rufus Judson, Patrick Rogers, Steve Savage, Kayla Simmons, and Tim Levy. I'd also want to make sure that we call out a couple project leaders for us, Michael Trojan and Terry Mine, for your expertise. This team was absolutely amazing, and they deserve a big round of applause. As you all know, living in Rochester, New York, January presents frozen tundra. They worked through the frozen tundra, the hazy, humid days of summer. There were 193 total working days with over 30 subcontractors and an average of 55 daily workers who helped make this possible. There were so many who all worked tirelessly to be ready for September. It was a constant theme. Got to be ready for September. Got to be ready for September. We were ready for September. We're here. You all did it, and we are so grateful. One of the best things about putting a puzzle together is when you can get everyone to participate and that sense of shared accomplishment. We have so many volunteers and friends who have helped assemble this puzzle so far, and although there is still much work to do, you have helped make dreams come true. Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to welcome and introduce Mary Walsh-Boatfield, the visionary for this center, President and CEO of CP Rochester, Happiness House and Rochester Rehabilitation, and the Golisano Autism Center Board Chair.
Well, I'd like to first welcome everyone to what I say is the spectacular Golisano Autism Center. So welcome. In 2015, the founders identified the need for providers in the greater Rochester area to come together and to transform delivery and access to services for individuals and families with autism. We went to Princeton, New Jersey, we went to Boston, we traveled throughout New York State, and we did not find anything like this Golisano Autism Center. Collaboration and innovation. Together, we developed a comprehensive business plan. In 2017, we met with Tom Golisano. He gave us a $2.5 million gift, and the trustees of the Golisano Foundation gave us $500,000. Inspired so many other people to come forward, and many of them are with us today, to donate to this great, great endeavor. We began working with SWBR, Sigl Identified Property on Science Parkway. Collaboration began with the UMRC Golisano Pediatric Behavioral Health and Wellness Program. 2018, we incorporated in March of 2018. The tragic death of Trevian Rowe led us to take immediate action to hire our family autism navigator, Melissa, who's been located at the Boys and Girls Club in Rochester, and our 24-hour helpline. As Tom said, we broke ground, and 9 months later, here we are. The Putting the Pieces Together campaign went public in July of 2019, and more than 170 donors have come forward to help with this much-needed project, raising $7.6 of our $9 million, 1.4 left to raise. On September 5th, just 1 week ago today, the Golisano Autism Center opened its doors. What an exciting day for the more than 10,000 individuals in our community with autism. This past week, we provided preschool and school-aged educational services to 40 students, ages 5 through 13 from 14 local school districts, including Dansville and Geneseo, and 15% of our students are from the Rochester City School District. More than 200 speech, occupational, and music therapy sessions have been provided in just 1 week. The Golisano Autism Center is a one-stop autism hub with 14 providers. Sigl Community of Agencies, Arc of Monroe, AutismUp, CP Rochester, Easter Seals, Happiness House, Hochstein, Holy Childhood, Mary Cariola Children's Center, Prime Care Coordination, Rochester Rehabilitation, Room to Bloom, and Sportsnet. And U of R Medicine's Golisano Pediatric Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. If that's not collaboration, I don't know what is. As you will see in just a few minutes, the Golisano Autism Center is welcoming to all, designed with celebration, sensory-friendly environment. This includes 11 classrooms and learning pods, which eventually will provide educational and transitional services for 130 students. 7,000 square foot outdoor sensory and recreational space that has been enjoyed by our children all week long. And within the next few weeks, we will be offering 2,000 individuals with autism and their families evaluations, early intervention, preschool, school-aged educational services, daycare, therapeutic services, primary care and dental assessments through CP Rochester's Article 16 and 28 clinics, and social and recreational services through AutismUp. By year 5, we hope that we have touched every single one of those 10,000 individuals in our community with autism. At this time, I'd like to ask Sarah and Tom to join me at the podium for presentation.
We wanted to start with a special thanks to Golisano Autism Center founding partners and the board of directors, members in attendance. And as I thank you and call your name out, if you wouldn't mind coming forward, we have a gift for you, for board members and for major donors, and we want to present this gift to you along with a card that has been made by our preschoolers here at the center and signed by so many families who this center will support. So if I could start with board members Jeff Baker. Jeff here, there he is. Thank you, Jeff. Scott Burdette. And Tom Wilmot Jr. That has come together and made this happen. Thank you all very much. I also want to throw out a special thanks to Judy and Patty, who have kept us really organized. Thank you. And now for our major donors. Mark Shortino, Chief Executive Officer of Radec Electric Corporation. Mark, are you here? Andrea Weinstein, Foundation Administrator of the Daisy Marquis Jones Foundation. Rob and Jackie Sparandio. Are the Sparandios here? John McKenna, Board Chair of Sigl Community of Agencies. And then we've got a terrific group here from Wegmans. Mary Ellen Burris, Senior Vice President of Wegmans Food Markets, Consumer Affairs. Linda Lovejoy, Wegmans Community Relations Manager. Joe Wesley is the Director of Strategic Workforce Development at Wegmans. And Diane Cardon is the Community Relations Coordinator. And Michelle Marinaro, thank you, is the Community Relations Coordinator at Wegmans. Always when I need you, Linda, you're right there. Thank you. And then Mary Boatfield, CEO of Ability Partner Foundation. Elsa Stio, Board Chair of Ability Partners Foundation. And Jacqueline Hawks Lytle, Board Chair of CP Rochester.
We'd like to continue to say thank you to the Paychex Charitable Foundation Steering Committee members, Stephanie Schaefer and Cody Braithwaite, Laura Saxby Lynch, Director of Paychex Corporate Communications, Marty Mucci, President and CEO of Paychex, and a gentleman who we'll talk quite a bit about shortly, who is the board chairman, but we'll talk more about him in a a bit. I do want to recognize something I learned this morning. Cody Braithwaite is the executive director, and he shared with us that this is not only a dream come true for this community, but for him personally. He has family members who will benefit from the services that are offered here. So it warms my heart for you to share that, and we're grateful that we can provide that. Thank you for helping. We want to recognize Kristen Rubaka, President, along with Daniel J. Fessenden, Executive Director of the Fred L. Emerson Foundation. I'm not certain that they're here. Assemblyman Harry B. Bronson, who is here, I know that. And Congressman Joe D. Morelli. I'm not sure if Joseph is here. Okay. Michelle Whitman, President, and her husband Brad Whitman, along with her family from the Waldron Rise Foundation. I'd like to give them a big round of applause. They toured the building when it was a real mess and came back and said, wow, this is fantastic. We want to help you build it. We want to recognize Vincent Esposito, Regional Director of the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council. And I want to also say thank you to Kathy and Frank York, along with Annette Well, for their generosity and support of the Connections Building, which will enhance the collaboration between the Behavioral Health and Wellness Building and the Golisano Autism Center. I've got to tell you a quick little story. We had a real snowy night in February. Ann Costello was with me, along with Dr. Michael Scharf. We had an opportunity to share what this was in terms of a concept, and at the time it was two buildings. It was going to be a U of R building here and a Golisano building over here, and we said a dream scenario would be if we could connect the two buildings and really show it as collaboration, unlike anything else we've ever seen in this community and maybe even in the nation. And Frank and Kathy went back to Annette and said, what did that guy say? How much? And Annette said, $1 million. And they said, then we'll do it. Nobody does that, but thank you, you did. All right, I'd like to give a shout out to the 10 individuals and families who participated in the photo session with Rick Giudotti. Rick is an award-winning fashion photographer and founder of Positive Exposure. You're going to see those photos in the hall. You'll see the photos behind us. These people are rock stars, and he is the stage leader of all rock stars. And lastly, I'd like to just take a second to say that this has been a dream come true for all of us. But each and every one of you in this room has had something to do with it. And if you were missed in any way, shape, or form from a formal thank you, I offer my apologies up front, but I will tell you that each and every one of us are just thrilled to death to be able to make this happen. And Mr. Golisano, you are changing everything in so many lives that will impact generations to come forever and ever. Thank you.
Again, our heartfelt thanks to Tom Golisano, philanthropist and friend, and Ann Costello and the Golisano Foundation trustees, whose unwavering support helped us jumpstart an extremely important, in Tom's own words, gold standard endeavor. Mr. Tom Golisano is the founder of Paychecks, a payroll, human resource and benefits outsourcing services provider, and the Golisano Foundation. In 1985, Mr. Golisano launched his first philanthropic endeavor by establishing the B. Thomas Golisano Foundation with an initial gift of $90,000. Today, with assets of $40 million, the Golisano Foundation awards grants to organizations dedicated to providing opportunities for those with intellectual and developmental disabilities and offering support to families. Tom's personal philanthropy totals more than $300 million. Ann Costello is the executive director of the Golisano Foundation, one of our nation's leading foundations dedicated solely to helping individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Ann has worked for 30 plus years in the nonprofit sector in human service administration, philanthropy, and organizational policy development. She is a catalyst for building inclusive communities in the disability services arena and a true friend to all. So I'd like to welcome Ann Costello.
Thank you. Thank you all. I didn't think I'd be so emotional. This has been quite a journey, and it was kind of nice just to sit there and savor in the moment of this 4 to 5 year journey. I'm very pleased to represent Tom and the Golisano Foundation trustees who were able to be here together. People ask me or say, you've done so many of these, does it ever get old? It never gets old. Every time I am privileged to stand here, it's a testament to the unprecedented, unwavering generosity of the man I've had the pleasure to work for 20 years. This center truly is a dream come true for so many families, and as I said, it's just a privilege to be able to represent him and the foundation trustees. Chuck Graham was able to make it, Tom Clark was able to make it, and I think Phil DePasquale, but maybe not. Phil, where's Phil? Oh, Phil, in the back corner. Anyway, Scott Burdett from the AutismUp board reminded me that it was April 2017. That was the board meeting that they made the presentation. So think about that. That was 2.5 years ago when Tom first approved the proposal and issued the challenge grant of $2.5 million. I think it's important to remember, though, that prior to April of 2017, as so many have already said, they had been working at this for about 2 to 3 years. So thank you, families, for your patience. You know how I feel about how long these things take. I wish we could speed it up a little bit, but the due diligence was very thorough, as you can imagine, and the thought and the wisdom that went into it, it was worth the wait. They mentioned that we traveled all over and didn't really find a center that was as comprehensive as this. We saw bits and pieces and we admired them and tried to replicate them, but I guarantee you that other communities, providers are now going to be coming to Rochester to take a look at this center, just like we went around and took a look at others. It is a model of communication, of collaboration, and we know collaboration is not easy. 14 providers coming together, I guess they've all signed on some dotted line, but they all know what their responsibility is. We have leases for shared space, we have common space, we have ownership, we have some rental agreements. It's truly a lawyer's, I guess, dream come true, or nightmare, I don't know which, or both. A lot of shout outs, and as Tom said, I'm probably going to run the risk of not mentioning some who need to be mentioned, but I do want to congratulate Pike for getting this ready for the first day of school. As Mary said, or somebody, 168 days from that frigid cold ceremonial groundbreaking, and they kept saying, we've got to be open for the first day of school, we've got to be open for the first day of school, and they were. So Kat and your team, thank you. Gotti is not here, photographer extraordinaire. You know, he was the photographer who helped Golisano Foundation celebrate its 30th anniversary almost 5 years ago. And ever since then, we have brought him to town, or other groups have brought him to town for various events such as this. So please take a look at the photos along the wall. You know, when you look at those photos, just like 5 years ago at our anniversary, you see the person, you see the humanity. You don't see, in this case, the autism or other disabilities that the children and the young adults have. And that's exactly what Rick is trying to capture in those faces. And they're magnificent and they're beautiful. So we thank Rick. Founders, Mary, Sarah, and Tom. I think 5+ years of meetings. I admire your commitment and your dedication. And more importantly, your vision and your wisdom to get this from that concept and dream to this actual facility and all the services that you've outlined that will be provided here. There is one person I am going to call out, and that person, I'll share a little story. One of the very first collaborative meetings, I'm not one for those big group meetings, and there were 20+ people around the table over at CP Rochester, and there was newsprint on the wall, and there were magic markers, and I said, oh my gosh, this is going to be a mess. How is anything ever? We had school age, we had adult services, we had young adults, we had transition, we had employment, and I remember whispering to Mary, we need a project manager. So somebody has to take the helm and take this over, and that person is Terry Mine, who did take the helm. I used to send her secret private emails and just say, God bless you, and you handled that beautifully and politically correctly and all of the above. It was an amazing feat, everything from food service to recreation to daycare to music therapy. I don't know how you did it, but we're glad you did, and we're glad you appointed her project manager. With that, just thank you to all those who are collaborating with us. Mary Carriola, our school partner. Without them, I don't know what we'd be doing with our school-age kids, and I believe we're going to go up into teens and young adults at some point. School to Holy Childhood, I don't know if they're here, but the Arc of Monroe, who are going to help us with transition services and employment training, and of course the number of other providers that have already been mentioned. So thank you very much. Enjoy the tour. It is a magnificent facility. Tom Golisano, gold standard once again, and I'm so honored to be a part of this. Thank you on behalf of the community.
Just a couple things. And you're terrific. You represent us so well.
And how many years ago was that? 20 years ago. This word was mentioned a few times as a contributor today, but I want to emphasize paychecks. None of this could ever happen if it wasn't for the 15,000 employees, the 670,000 clients, and thousands of shareholders. They really are the ones that make it possible. And we have some representatives here for paychecks today. They were on the committee that also granted a dollar amount to the project. And when I heard the amount, I went, what? I guess paychecks has grown a little bit since I left. But I'm proud of what they did, even though from a shareholder perspective, I might have had to question it. But thanks, folks, I appreciate it. Thank you all for coming out. It's a great pleasure to be here today and share this with you. Thanks.
Out this door right here, first row first, and we're gonna kind of direct so we get everybody in the photo, and then we're gonna head